Hello everybody, this is Varfish, and welcome back to my tutorial series on how to play the Velvet Book, a Persona tabletop roleplay game. Today's subject is how to make a character. First things first, we gotta talk about what our stats are gonna be. We have 5 of them. They have a floor of 1 die and a cap of 5 die. In order, they are Diligence, Guts, Proficiency, Knowledge, and Expression. Diligence explains how physically tough you are, how mighty, how muscly, and also your capacity to work hard. Your guts describes your how brave you are, whether you have confidence, whether you have moxie, and how fast you're going to be to act. Your proficiency is your cool stat, and that's how dexterous you are, how you're able to tinker with things, and the precision of your aim. Your knowledge determines your knowledge. It's your smart boy stat. Education, your ability to strategize, and your ability to be aware of things. Your expression is your charisma stat. That's going to be how expressive, how emotive, creative, and persuasive you can be. Every stat corresponds to 3 skills, which is going to give us a pretty long list of stats, as you can see. We have 15 total. I'm not going to go over what each of these do because many of them are self-explanatory. And if you do not understand them from a first pass, you can always read them. There is an extended section in the book where you can read further. Now, the only real difference here is that our skills have a floor of 0 die in comparisons to stats floor of 1 die. So while you can't be completely inept in one fundamental aspect of life, you can be completely inept in a skill. That's all that really represents. Humans use their stat pool plus their skill pool to form their overall dice pool for rolling when using the one roll engine. So if you're trying to determine how brave you are feeling at a particular time, your GM might ask for your guts plus courage. So in this case, and for Junpei's case, because that's the character that we're going to be building later, we'll say that his guts is 4 die and his courage is 2 die. So that means for that roll, we're going to roll 6 dice. And hopefully we find a set. We should find a set. We have pretty good odds. Now, relationships. Relationships are a core part of the Persona series, and as such, they're also going to be a core part of the Velvet Book. So these are the bonds that characters form, mostly with people, but they can also be with big groups of people or even objects as long as they have an emotional significance to your character. Relationships are important because we can use them to bolster our dice pools or buff our personas in mid-combat. However, this has a possible downside. If you fail, it could harm your relationship, and it'll take time to mend that and repair that. Relationships should correspond to unique arcanas, which we'll be talking about now. Arcanas represent character archetypes, and these can mean both personality and circumstances. So it's not only limited to the one. They kind of like, for example, the Hanged Man is very much so involved with circumstance, while let's say the Chariot may be more to do with personality, but it can be a mix of both. All characters must choose an arcana, and they should be unique. It's up to your GM whether or not they'll allow for duplicates. One thing to keep in mind is that you are inherently less useful to your party in terms of trying to make like relationships with other party members if there are dupes. A party with a magician, an empress, a hierophant, and 2 justices will kind of have to just pick which justice that they choose to be friends with. And if you're playing one of the justices, you don't really want to be friends with, well, no, you can be friends with your duplicate justice. So scratch that point. Well, if they're all justices, then you can't be friends with more than one of your party members, which is also really lame. So that's that point. The arcana that you choose will correspond to an arcana route, which shows our character's development, their growth, their understanding of their place in the world, and progressing upon that route will grant us new powers, which is mostly just making our die rolls better. So, this is our character sheet. Uh, may seem like a lot, but I promise it's not. We have three main areas to look at. First is our stat area, stat and skill. You can see our 5 stats and our 15 skills. Skills are all on sticky notes, and you can see a line showing which stat they correspond to. Other area I want to draw your attention to is the phone. This shows all of our relationships, as well as their rank and how much shock they're under. We're not going to be going over relationship shock in this video. That'll be in a future one. Top right here, we have our arcana, and bottom left is also related to the arcana because our aspects that we'll be picking later come from our arcana route. Now let's get into making our man, Junpei. So here's our plan. First, we're going to add 10 dice to our stats. Then we're going to add 15 dice to our skills. And after that, we're going to work on our relationships. So we should ask our GM how they're handling that. Regardless, we have 10 XP to either keep or spend. After that, we should write up our character's personality and backstory. This won't be on your character sheet. You should just do this in like a Word doc or in a journal if you're into that. And finally, we will decide our arcana. Now, the book says that you can decide your arcana whenever you want in the process, either at the beginning, in the middle, or the end, whenever it comes to you. I only put it at the end here for the sake of just having to put it somewhere and be less complicated. So, although for this video, I'll be doing it at the end, you can do it whenever you want. Also, for Junpei, it's predetermined. He is just the magician, so it really doesn't matter. Now, first we're going to assign our stats and skills. So as you can see, we've ended up with 4 diligence because Junpei is a pretty healthy guy, 4 guts because Junpei is a pretty confident guy, 3 proficiency because he's a baseball guy, so he's gonna need to have like good sportsman-like reflexes. 2 for knowledge because that's not really his strong suit, and 2 for expression because he tries to be cool with the ladies and ends up failing most of the time. Now, it's good to remember that our stats start, no matter what, with 1 die, and that first die is free. So all of our stats added all together, even after we have added our 10 die from character creation, is going to be 15. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 2 is 13, and 13 plus 2 is 15. That's 15. We have done our stat distribution properly. After that, we're looking at skills. Much simpler because they start at 0 and we have 15 dice to add. So we just distribute them as we see fit and then add them up. And if we get our 15 die back, we've done it properly. Now, Junpei is a sporty boy, so I made sure to give him good physical education. I gave him good wind. He's a good fighter. He's the best physical attacker in his game, so I gave him 3 fighting, not 4. I would say 4 for Akihiko because he's like an actual boxer. Junpei really excels with fighting with his persona, so I think 3 is fair. 2 for courage, and then 3 for reflex because he's the baseball boy, and 1 for block because I had 1 left over, and I figured fighty boy should also kind of know how to protect his buddies too. And I believe he gets the buffing skill that boosts defense, I think. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, Persona 3 talk aside, it's good to know that depending on the length of your campaign, your stats and skills may be capped at 4 die during character creation. It is paramount that you ask your GM about that. They will let you know what their expectations are. You'll notice, sorry, going back here, but you'll notice I didn't go above 4 for any of these because I wanted to bring that up, and, you know, I would say Persona 3 probably constitutes as a long campaign. Anyway, moving on. Assigning our starting relationships. So, again, gonna have to ask your GM about this too. Really, I would say you should be asking your GM all along the way. I think character creation is at its best when you are talking back and forth with your game master. But regardless, if you're more of the introverted guy, you only have to really poke them for these few things. So, relationships. In some campaigns, you might not start with any. Just depends on what your GM feels like. So, ask him. If you're not having any at the start, just log that you have 10 relationship XP to spend, and don't worry about it until later. If you do, we have a total of 10 to spend. Now, you'll notice I only put down one here because I'm thinking of early Junpei, and I didn't want to put the main character because his Arcana would be complicated. So I just put Akihiko because he's pretty friendly with Junpei in the beginning of the game. Yukari's not, and I think he's like not super close to the Mitsuru at the start, so I just put Akihiko for a lack of options. So we have him here. And that cost us just one dice because the cost of your relationship depends on what rank you're buying. One a 1 die relationship costs 1 XP. A 2 die relationship would cost 3 XP because we have to buy both ranks. So each rank is equal to in cost to its rank. Which okay, that's oddly circular, but because it is circular. Like so because rank 2 costs 2 and rank 1 costs 1, when we're buying a 2 die relationship, that'll be 3 total. That's all that means. Now we have quote unquote decided our arcana. Junpei's is just and has always been the magician, so that's pretty easy. Every arcana comes with aspects, and these you see these in the questions in your arcana route. Like one of them for the magician is what is your talent? And we use these questions to to decide in advance how we want our arcana to benefit our character. New characters start with 2 aspects. They get more later, but for now we only have 2. So, once we've answered 2 of the questions, we have to turn these into more actionable statements, and you'll see this in the because I can. It's a little thing we have going on here, and it goes because the answer to your question, and then I can, and then how you expect the answer to influence your game. So, for example, we'll say for the question, what is your talent? Junpei's talent is being a fighty boy. So I'll say, because my talent is fighting, I can, and then I put find the strength to stand up to adversity. So this is my fighting spirit is going to help me be brave and fight, obviously. The other example here I just put is what is, I think the question was, what is your out of reach dream, something like that. So I put, because my dream is to be a hero, because Junpei really desires that, I put, I can push myself to outpace and outperform my peers, and also sometimes be a little bit of a dickhead to them. So that's really it for aspects. If you're confused or kind of lacking ideas, you can always consult your GM. So there is that. I know this can be, it's a little creative writing exercise, can be hard, but you can do it. I believe in you. And after that, we've done it. That's really it. You can see our main 3 things here. We filled out our stats, we've filled out our relationships, and we've done our aspects. And then we just noted down our arcana up here, um, miscellaneous character information up here. And then because we only spent 1 relationship XP, I just put right here that I have 9 relationship die left to spend, and then 0 XP because we don't have any XP at the start of the game. And it's important to kind of notate that it's like relationship dice or relationship XP because it's not the same as normal XP. Like you can use XP to buy relationships, but you can't use relationship dice or XP to buy other things you can get with experience. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about improving your character. So you like I was talking about, you improve your character with experience. primarily, and your GM will award experience at the end of sessions, depending on how much you've done. Sometimes might get nothing if you just waste your time jorking it the entire time, but you'll usually probably get a little something something. Stats and skills may usually be improved between sessions. You can just go home, look at your character sheet, and distribute your XP as you see fit. Sometimes your GM might request that you actually have to back this up with in-game events. Your GM will tell you if that's the case. Relationships are always, always, always going to need to be backed up by in-game events, like an in-character hangout, because of their nature. You don't just become more friendly with somebody out of nowhere by doing nothing, right? That's all it really means. And that's it, really. All I have for you. I hope you found this helpful and informative. If you have any questions, you can ask me, you can ask your GM, and read up.